Hello, professional wrestling fans. Hello, dear professional wrestling fans. Good evening, dear professional wrestling fans in Poland, all over Denmark, all over Europe, hey, maybe even all over the world. This is the Polish podcast wrestling channel. Istota Wrestlingu. In Polish it means the essence of wrestling, and today we are more than happy to be joined representing the wrestler and the nerds. Nikolai, we are more than happy to have you here with us.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's really an honor to be on another podcast, and it's also such a pleasure for me and I know the team that's behind the Wrestler and the Nerds to spread our love for wrestling around the world. So just being here, sitting here to talk with other people that has the same passion as us, it's just such a pleasure. So thank you for having me on the show.
Wonderful. We all love professional wrestling. We are always open for the questions from the chat coming from our viewers. Please write any questions, any comments. Today we have a very simple aim to talk about, to promote the best of professional wrestling in Poland and in Denmark. So we could say today we will present the essence of Polish and Danish professional wrestling. Of course, Nikolai, as a dedicated fan, wrestling enthusiast from Denmark, he will cover the Danish scene. I will do my best to talk about Polish wrestling. But Nikolai, maybe let's start off in a surprising way. Maybe let's start off with a question. What do you know about Polish wrestling? Not your main topic today, Danish wrestling,
No,
but
well,
our wrestling, the wrestling in Poland.
oh, well, I know a little because in Denmark we have been so fortunate to have a lot of wrestlers from Poland and also some Polish people living in Denmark. So, but I know the largest promotion, Primetime Wrestling. I know you have some amazing talents. I just experienced some yesterday evening. Diana Strong, Pure Gold, an amazing tag team, and also the Polish Stallion. Or you would love me saying that he has actually Stallion written on the back of his trunks. Robert Starr, he was a henchman in this show, but we will come into that later on. And just a little funny thing about Robert Starr, he has probably the most coolest merch I have ever seen. He has condoms. So have you ever heard of a wrestler having condoms as merch? I haven't, and I envy him big time.
Well, yes, that is truly something. Dear
Yes.
Nikolai, so Primetime Wrestling, as you said, the largest wrestling federation in Poland, Diana Strong, a great star, greatly promoted by Primetime Wrestling. Unfortunately, Robert Starr and Pure Gold, the tag team made of Vic Golden and Gabriel Quinn, we cannot see them anymore in Primetime Wrestling. Hopefully, they will be back if that will be possible. But we can see them in other Polish federations and outside of Poland. What about those other Polish federations? Any clue, any idea? Just to give you a hint, we have two more professional cage match accepted wrestling federations in Poland.
Oh yeah. But actually, I've yesterday I talked a little bit. I've cheated a little bit. Sorry. But I talked with Robert a little bit yesterday, and he told me about something called PPW or something like that. And he mentioned another one as well, but I can't remember. Sorry. So
Thanks a lot, dear Nikolai. Yes, PPW is the more hardcore federation based in my hometown, Warsaw, the capital of Poland. And we have one more at the north KPW is based in Gdynia, right by the Baltic Sea. Truly,
Okay.
So that is the third next to Primetime Wrestling and PPW.
Yeah.
KPW Combat Pro Wrestling is the third professional Polish wrestling organization. Dear Nikolai, would you like to ask me the same question?
Exactly. So, what do you know about Danish pro wrestling?
Not a lot, I must admit. I am aware that Drew McIntyre, who will be fighting for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania, he was the champion of, I think, Dansk Pro Wrestling.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
And this is also where Robert Starr, our Polish stallion, is the champion right now.
Yes. Exactly.
Yes,
Exactly.
so that is a very exciting fact for us.
Yeah.
We are also talking about this fact and making the comparison between Robert Starr and Drew McIntyre. I think they are a bit similar. And hopefully the future of Robert Starr will look as bright as the now of Drew McIntyre. So Dansk Pro Wrestling, and I am also, and I think Chaos is one of the...
Yes, exactly. He's actually one of the founders of the our podcast as well.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's a great honor to be involved with you, with the wrestler and the nerds. As you can see, you have so great and experienced people doing your project. So for us as Istota Wrestlingu, as the essence of wrestling, it's a great privilege and an honor. So thank you once again, Nikolai, for accepting our invitation. So
of course,
Dansk Pro Wrestling, Chaos, and as a part of cheating, I also did that. I looked at some of YouTube videos, also thanks to your podcast. You have all of the links there. It's very easy to find direct links to other federations. So I looked at the DPW shows, Dance Pro Wrestling, and I could see how the children are amazingly engaged in what you are producing, what DPW is doing. They are screaming, they are laughing, they are at times singing, they are dancing. This is what wrestling is all about, engaging people, not just to sit, but to stand up and wave their hands, sing, chant, and so on. So the engagement of the fans, the fact that fans are so loud, so present, so emotionally involved in the show, and the fact that you are able to involve the kids. This is something outstanding. For me, as a fan of wrestling who watches the American scene, I try to follow Mexico, I try to follow Japan, European wrestling, but of course my main point of interest is the development of Polish wrestling scene. So DPW, that's what I can tell about this federation. I know that there are some newer federations in
there's
Denmark.
actually one federation called New or Nordic Elite Wrestling.
Yes.
And it was actually at a show there last night. But if we go way back and look at first, because Danish Pro Wrestling is actually the first Danish wrestling promotion in a newer time, where Kaz, as you know it, he likes to call himself the toughest Danish wrestlers. I may be doubting that a little bit, but if you ask him, I shouldn't. But that's for another time. They actually, in the very early stages of the Danish pro wrestling, they were actually doing reality TV before reality TV was a thing. We have in Denmark Paradise Hotel and Big Brother and so on. TV about toughest wrestler in Denmark. So, and it's actually, if you want to look at something very interesting, and I could send you some of the links afterwards.
Definitely.
You could actually see this show called Blod, Sved og Springskaller. And it's really something amazing if you want to have a very deep insight into what how Danish pro wrestling developed from what it was way back then until now, because it's a very, very interesting journey. And
great, dear Nikolai. Those are great stories coming from you as as an engaged person that simply loves and lives wrestling. This is
yeah,
great. I also heard about Nordic elite wrestling. Mainly
exactly.
through the fact that because of Polish wrestlers, as you said, Diana Strong, Pure Gold, Vic Golden and Gabriel Quinn, who are fighting in Poland mostly in PPW, in this federation
Yeah.
based in Warsaw nowadays. And also Robert Starr as a big person in Danish wrestling, and also a promoter of Danish wrestling right here in Poland.
Oh,
So thanks to him, thanks to his efforts, I think it's easier for the other Polish wrestlers to simply get there. But dear Nikolai, we are so lost in our conversation that I forgot
okay.
about our wonderful chat. And of course, you are
Yes,
very,
we.
very important for us. Hello, Epson. Hello, Mentat. Good day, Bartosz Plata. Jonas Holm is
Yes.
also with us. He wrote, "Still is a chicken."
Yeah. That's actually something, but I'll explain that later because.
All right, Przemek Przygoda, PP2 Step from Heaven. He is writing about his love and enthusiasm for PPW, this
Ah,
Warsaw-based
yes.
organization. Enrico Design. No, there are many comments already. Thanks a lot.
Oh, perfect.
We'll try to get through all of your kind and maybe simply honest words. Webson is writing, I follow wrestling in Denmark sometimes. So as you can see, you have also fans from Poland that try to
Oh, yeah, yeah.
follow the
Ah,
wrestling
thank you.
scene. Yes, and Webson also sent me some matches from Denmark when, for example, Nano Lopez had the
Yes, exactly.
opportunity to fight against one of your great
Champions.
wrestlers, one
Yeah,
of your
yeah,
champions.
Carlos. Yeah,
Yes.
actually one of probably one of the biggest star in Denmark at the moment. El Guapo Carlos Zamora, who is an amazing athlete, an amazing wrestler who has everything to make it to be a very big star. He's carrying a lot of Danish wrestling on his shoulders. He had a fantastic match with Nano Lopez, and but in one place, Nano Lopez outshined Carlos actually. So maybe, hopefully, he's not listening. So maybe I get a little bit of heat from him if I say this. But Nano Lopez has had the coolest jacket ever with the LED lights on.
Hell
So
yeah.
he lit up the room in more than one way in Denmark.
Definitely. Not only his jackets, but many things about Nano Lopez are amazing. He proved that while being a guest of our recent podcast. We were doing the live reaction from watching AEW Revolution 2024. The last effort, wrestling effort, maybe, hopefully, of Sting. But also it was a great opportunity for us to sit down and watch a wrestling show with a wrestler who competed one-on-one against Matt Sydal.
Yes.
So the member of a AEW roster. Nano Lopez, this is a person that you didn't mention as a part of our wrestling scene and as a part of what you know about Polish wrestling. But
I know.
hey, he is definitely connected with our scene. Although he wrestlers all around Europe, I would consider him a wrestler born in Spain, but he's Polish wrestler. He has done so much for primetime wrestling for development of this big wrestling federation in Poland.
Oh yeah, but also we had actually we had, as you know, the Pure Gold tag team. We had them. I watched them 2 times in Denmark. They are amazing, great chemistry, great working together. I love their gimmick. It's awesome. It's awesome entrance music. Diana Strong, she was really strong. Did have a great match with one of our great talents called Madison Morgan, who is probably the only. We have 2 active female wrestlers in Denmark, and Madison Morgan is really something you have to watch because she's only 16. Has a lot of support from her parents.
That's very important. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, who's going around Europe, competing in different promotions. I think last week she was in, or this week maybe, she was in Austria, competing in an all-female card.
Well, so it sounds like you have a true treasure right there in Denmark when it comes to women's wrestling. We consider Diana Strong as Polish treasure when it comes to wrestling, as also because of the fact that there are not so many women wrestling in Poland. So please, dear girls, dear ladies, if you want to experience something unbelievable, try to simply sign up for a wrestling school. It starts with pain, but it finishes with something amazing and overwhelming at the same time. But dear Nikolai, we were talking about wrestling treasures, and Webson is asking about the treasures in Danish wrestling. Which wrestler performing in Denmark has a chance to make a great international career? If you would have to distinguish 2, 3 wrestlers.
Can I have 3?
Yes,
please?
Okay.
Okay, perfect. The one that I also did already mention, Carlos Zamora. He has actually been at a WWE tryout. He's just there on the verge of having something. He's wrestled a lot around the world. He's been to Dubai. He's been in the Philippines. He's been in the UK scene. Also Sweden, Norway.
What allowed him to be on that level, to travel to Dubai, to be accepted into WWE try? What was the factor?
He is...
Do not tell me that it was the it factor.
No. It wasn't. It wasn't actually, because he's has an MMA background. He's well proportioned. He's very athletic. He has a very strange, great build, and he has all the tools to do something fantastic. He can do power moves. He can do top rope. He can.
Where did he train? Only in Denmark, or was he training all over the place?
I think he's mainly trained in Denmark, but I think also he's done some, as you know, in the WWE trial some years ago. I think it was in 2019. So it's some years ago now, and I think he's done also seminars around Europe as well.
Definitely, and Enrico Design agrees with you right there on the chat. He thinks, and he wrote that I think Carlos Zamora he has international flair, and he'll make it big, according to Enrico Design.
Yeah, but I also have, if we could look at another one, it's called Nitro Green. He is a little bit different wrestling style than Carlos. He has a lot of speed. He's very athletic. He's also part of a tag team as well. But Nitro Green has traveled around the world. He has wrestled in the USA, UK, Germany, Norway, Sweden as well. So,
all right.
And we have this aspiring talent, the third one, and I'll stop talking. So, but but we have this one called, he's on the verge of becoming something fantastic. It's a guy called Emilian Lewis. He's the current Nordic Elite wrestling champion. He has a lot of tools. He's very built a little bit like Carlos, but he's very young, still has a lot of learn. Just finished a seminar in Germany as well, and he's really putting a lot of chips in his what, I don't know exactly what you say, but he's putting the work in to see where it will take him. So
great. This is so important when it comes to the development of individual wrestler, to simply dive in, or as your great Danishman would call it, do the leap of faith, as Soren Kierkegaard would put it.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, dear chat, for all of your voices, all of the questions. We will read every single question before the end of this show. But we have a plan. That is, first and foremost, to talk a little bit about wrestling in Poland and Denmark in general. We are doing that. But secondly, we will be more specific. We will distinguish the best moments, the best storylines, the best wrestlers in every single Polish and Danish wrestling organization. So you will have an overview as a wrestling fan of simply what is the best in Polish and Danish wrestling. And the third part will be dedicated only to the voices from the chat, wherever the conversation will take us. We'll be more than happy to answer all of your voices. And right now, very important voice from Bartosz Plata. He's asking you, dear Nikolai, have you watched any matches that happened in Poland? Did you have an opportunity, maybe on YouTube or...
Yeah, I watched Starboy and Nano Lopez's match against Matt Seidel. Just before doing some background research before interviewing him. So I use a lot of time when I am before interviewing a wrestler, looking at his wrestling resume, what he has done, his story, what I can dig up. So, but not that much. So I would like to ask one question back to Bartosz. Which other matches should I watch?
Great question. Thanks a lot. And dear Bartosz, please give us an answer. Bartosz agrees with you that it was a good match. When it comes to Matt Seidel in Poland, I recommend the main event of Legends, PTW Legends show. It happened right here in Warsaw. Kalisto, known on the independent scene as Samurai del Sol, fought against Matt Seidel. It was an unbelievable match. Something purely beautiful, overwhelming, monumental. It was great. One more match that I especially recommend to you, and it is available on YouTube. Check out PPW, this wrestling organization from Poland. They are hardcore, they are wild, they are extreme, they are our version of ECW, but beyond and above. It's truly it's intense. Please, Nikolai, I recommend you, and I warmly would like to invite you to Warsaw to visit.
I will for sure. And
definitely you shall visit Gdynia, right there next to the Baltic Sea. Great connection with Denmark, where you can find the KPW show. Yes. But when it comes to the best Polish wrestling matches, as you asked to Bartosz, and I'm giving you the answer. We'll listen to Bartosz in a moment. From this PPW show, it was called Miasto Bezprawia. the Lawless City.
Oh,
It gives
nice
you
name, actually.
yes, it's my
Yes.
quick translation, but
Yes.
I think you get the meaning. But a very good, unlike PPW, not hardcore, but pure wrestling match between Gabriel Quinn from Pure Gold, you know him,
Oh, yeah,
and
the
between
amazing
Jacob
wrestler.
Crane. So have you heard of Jacob?
Yeah, I've heard the name, but I've not seen anything, any matches with him. So
Unfortunately, that's a big loss because he is
yeah,
magnificent. He started wrestling in Maniac Zone Wrestling. This federation, unfortunately, does not exist, but maybe we have hopes that it
yes,
will revive. So he started there, then he developed a lot in PTW, and then unfortunately, as many wrestlers, he parted his ways with PTW and went on to WXW mostly. He
yeah.
started to be a permanent member of WXW main shows, main roster.
Oh,
He had a lot of matches over there. Right now, with more than 100 of matches in Europe, he is going to Japan, and he will be the first Polish wrestler signing under Japanese contract, Japanese federation. So
oh,
we are
interesting.
more than happy and more than
W-
excited. Um, dear dear Nikolai, Bartosz Plata recommends to you another match coming from Jacob Crane from
Okay.
PTW, Tristan Archer versus
Ah,
Jacob
yes.
Crane. Tristan Archer was involved in WWE in cruiserweight tournament. He was also WXW champion. He also wrestled right here in Poland for PTW. So this is something that Bartosz would recommend also, and this is according to many Polish fans the best match in the history of Polish
Whoa.
professional wrestling. Axel Fox against Justin Joy from Primetime Wrestling Legends. And yes,
Oh,
if someone would like to get into Polish wrestling, I recommend watching Primetime Wrestling Legends. The whole show
oh,
is available on YouTube. You can see great, not only Polish but also international wrestlers there. You can see, for example, Impact, now TNA title, one of their titles being present there, and there was a fight for this very title.
oh.
There are many recommendations on the chat. For example, the Phenom 90 recommends to you Starboy Nano Lopez versus Sinister. Another, dear Nikolai, reason to watch Legends. It was a good match with a great storyline, according to the Phenom 90. And thanks Bartosz Plata, it was the Digital Media Championship of Impact Wrestling.
Okay.
But Bartosz Plata, one of TNA Wrestling belts, it sounds better than Digital Media Championship. But if you want me to be honest, all right, Bartosz, remember, our aim is to promote Polish wrestling.
Exactly.
Definitely. Dear Nikolai, could
Yes.
you? I think it would be truly a lesson
Yes.
for Polish wrestling fans, for people who are creating wrestling in Poland, to simply listen to a story about, not too long story, but a story
Okay, I'll
about
try. I'll try.
maybe a summary of a story about
Yes.
the development of professional wrestling in Denmark. Could you
Yeah.
explain how it all happened?
Well, I think if we go way back when, probably some fans here, I don't know if they know him here in Poland, we had the Danish version of Hulk Hogan
Wow.
called someone called Asbjørn Ries, and it was probably someone would probably define him as Hulk Hogan's long lost twin brother that he did not know because he looked
similarly, but did he fight for WWE or WCW?
Yeah, he was actually like you could actually mistake him for being Hulk Hogan. He was built exactly the same way, and that's when actually he was actually the first one bringing pro wrestling to Denmark. Some stories why, and it's not confirmed every story. It's like It's like wrestling. Not everything is confirmed, but he took and he started a wrestling school in Denmark in some place called Nykøbing Mors, where a lot of the wrestlers, Cares, the one who is on our podcast, and a lot of other people went up there for a weekend to train pro wrestling.
Okay, so he started a wrestling school as
Yeah.
a former member of WWE, WCW, one of
I
the big
know he's
promotions.
not a former member. He just went over there to train, but he was the one who brought professional wrestling to Denmark. So you could say he's the father of professional wrestling in Denmark. So
All right. Anything else about his experience? Because it sounds a bit mysterious. He was over
yeah,
there.
it's like wrestling. Not everything. It's like it's a good storyline, maybe.
All right.
Who knows?
Well,
But it's interesting. But he then from there on, you had the first real Danish promotion called Danish Pro Wrestling, eller Dansk Pro Wrestling, as some might know, who was founded by someone called Cares, the toughest wrestler in Denmark, if you ask him. And then
all right. Let me quickly summarize the state of Polish wrestling affairs at this very early stage. So when it comes to the first people who were trying to introduce professional wrestling to Poland, we could mostly point out the Olympian, the grappler, amateur wrestler, Andrzej Supron. He is called in Poland the professor of professional wrestling. He is also the commentator for one of the TV stations that is broadcasting WWE shows right here in Poland. It is the Extreme Sports channel. And he was one of the first people who started to introduce the wrestling business to Poland. But his efforts, well, they were visible, but they didn't last for long. And the very next person who tried to start things off with wrestling in Poland it's a story a bit similar to your Danish hero, although he did not look like Hulk Hogan. It was rather the opposite. But Don Royd, he was the American wrestler that came from United States in order to start the so-called first professional wrestling school in Poland. It was around 2009, something like that. Well, he also was a little bit mysterious when it comes to his background. For example, he didn't have a cage match profile, so it was truly hard to check his background. But all right, so our first big federation that started that was started by Don Royd was Do or Die Wrestling. What about Denmark?
It was actually the one, as I also mentioned before. It was Danish Pro Wrestling. It was the only one for a lot of years, and from there on, there was a split in Danish wrestling. There was someone called Body Slam. Someone within pro wrestling wanted to do wrestling in another way. They had some other ideas that didn't work with the ones at Danish Pro Wrestling at the moment, so they broke out and started their own promotion called, first of all, it was called Wrestling DK, and then it developed into Body Slam. And the school, they had some, at Danish Pro Wrestling, they had a summer school every year at the summer vacation, and some of the people that went there, they wanted to go back to Copenhagen and start their own school, and what was the first Copenhagen-based promotion called Copenhagen Championship Wrestling, founded by someone called Copenhagen Hangman. And it was active for some years, and then, as you know, egos is the catalyst of a lot of problems in pro wrestling. So,
but also the drive to do the job.
Yes. Exactly. You're so right. But then there was some, what can you say? They did not agree on certain stuff, and then they split up. And now we have 4 promotions now in Denmark. We have Danish Pro Wrestling, we have Body Slam, we have Nordic Elite Wrestling, and then Valor, who is based upon the Copenhagen Championship Wrestling. But Valor is a umbrella of a lot of smaller promotions around Europe. And Valor is going to have their first show here in a small town outside of Copenhagen called Hedensted. So it'll be interesting to see what they will bring to the table for Danish pro wrestling.
All right.
That was the short version, because you said I have to keep it short, but I could probably talk 1 hour more if I had the time. So
probably
that was the short version.
You could talk for the whole day about each of those stories and the development of each of those federations.
Exactly.
Today, dear wrestling fans, dear viewers, we'll give you a quick overview of what is going on in Polish and Danish wrestling. Right now we are focusing on the history, but in a very short time we will discuss the now, what is going on right now. So when it comes to the history of Polish wrestling, out of Do or Die Wrestling and the efforts of Don Reut, well, he, fortunately or unfortunately, there are also many opinions about that, quit as the head of Do or Die Wrestling, and his students started the KPW Federation in Gdynia, Gdańsk, the north of Poland, right next to the Baltic Sea. Truly a magnificent place, also great place for tourists simply to visit and witness a wrestling show at the same time. So KPW was another federation, and there is also a very unique thing about Polish wrestling, because we have backyard federation that grew into professional wrestling federation. That is the PPW in Warsaw. They started many years ago as a backyard wrestling federation, and they engaged so many people. They created such a big enthusiasm around themselves. It was simply at some point in Warsaw cool to be a PPW fan, cool to hang out at the PPW shows. It was also about experiencing wrestling and partying and drinking beer, having fun. So it was a truly cultural phenomenon when it comes to PPW. Right now they are fully professional wrestling organization that is gathering wrestlers from all over the world, all over Europe, to fight right here in Warsaw for Polish fans. And as you said, we also have the third Polish Wrestling Federation created by Pan Pawłowski. This is one of the biggest egos, biggest driving forces. As you said, ego is often a source of bad things, but as I said, it is often a source of very good and productive things. So probably there shall be a golden mean, a good balance to both of those factors. But Pan Pawłowski, he created primetime wrestling, and he introduced a big sponsor right there at the start, Kingwin, a big shop with computer games. There was a lot of money in that promotion, so they were able to hire wrestlers from WWE, TNA, wrestlers from all over Europe. So it was a big step for Polish wrestling. Well, I think when it comes to the history. We delivered a very quick overview. Dear fans, we are doing it live as we go. So please, if you have a feeling that we have missed something important in our, I would call it summary of a history of Danish and Polish wrestling, please, our dear viewers, write what we shall add on the chat. Mentat recommends to you the very good match from KPW
Oh.
show. The Ordnung, a tag team, a German tag team, they were fighting mostly, as far as I remember, in WXW against the tag team of Polish brothers, the Fuchs brothers. They are brothers. They created a great tag team, and they are the tag team champions right now in KPW. So that's the another recommendation for you. Bartosz Plata, and we have a great following of Japanese wrestling in Poland. I am one of those fans who simply love New Japan Pro Wrestling. That's why I'm so happy that Jacob Crane is going over to Japan to develop there. But Bartosz Plata, he's an admirer of Shibata. Bartosz Plata Shibata, it rhymes even. So he's asking he is asking you, what do you think about Shibata?
Yeah. Actually, I think he was away for a long time because of a very bad injury, but it's such a pleasure seeing him back. I was so fortunate to experiencing him live last year at a Rev Pro show in London just before All In. And I think he has this very unique style of wrestling. And he's dropped.
It's a hard-hitting style.
Yeah. He's hard-hitting, but I love him. I think I'm looking forward. I didn't have the time to watch his latest match with Bryan Danielson on AEW Collision last night, so I'm looking forward to see that one as well. But I think he's an amazing wrestler because he's hard-hitting, but still very, very technical. So I just, as people will find out eventually, that I love a lot of wrestlers. I love a lot of different style of wrestling, but the one thing that is very important for me is the storyline in wrestling, the story behind a match, or maybe the story within the match as well.
Yes, and we will discuss the best storylines right here from Polish and from Danish wrestling scene. Enrico Design wrote on the chat that he trained one time at Osbjorn Rees, this Danish Hulk Hogan, this Danish legend.
Yes, so cool.
About he was good, but I was 17, so so it was quite of an experience. All right, it's great to have you with us, dear Enrico. It's great to have you with. It's great to have all of the viewers on the chat. Whatever thoughts come to your mind, whatever voices, whatever questions you have about Polish wrestling for me, or about Danish wrestling, or wrestling in general for Nikolai, we will be more than happy to answer all of your voices. Dear Nikolai, I think we can start the second part of our podcast, the one dedicated to the best of what is happening right now on our wrestling scenes. So, dear Nikolai, let's do it federation by federation, all right?
Yes.
What federation would you like to start with? And I think as the first, we should point out the most talented wrestlers, the diamonds, the truly great people that are doing wrestling in those federations.
Okay. Well, I think we should start maybe with the oldest promotion, Danish Pro Wrestling. And at the moment, there is an interesting storyline, like, you know, the teacher and the student with chaos, teaching. I would probably call him the chicken of Danish pro wrestling, Sutherland Steel, wannabe Karate Kid or something like that. He's trying to teach him to be his student and to develop him into being a real great pro wrestler. I think it's hopeless, but that's how it will be. But to do this teacher-student, they're tag team champions. They're doing their thing. It's like this teacher-student. I think it's the most interesting storyline in the Danish pro wrestling. And the biggest talent there is probably the one that they brought in. It's a former UFC fighter, MMA, with MMA background. He's called Christian Godzilla Columba, and he's a huge man.
Ooh.
Yes. He has hands like, what can you say? Probably one of my two hands, if you can see him like this, it's one of his. So, yeah. Ooh. He can do it like, you could probably lift me up if you want to. He's actually an amazing talent, even though he's a little bit old. He's on the verge of becoming something interesting. And they also have some other interesting people there. Someone doing a Viking gimmick called Ragnar. He is there. He's also their champion at the moment. And that's the two ones that I would mention from that promotion. Looking at the other one, the next one, Body Slam.
Let me.
Yes. Okay. It's your time. Yes. Sorry. I will take all the time if you let me.
But also let me give you some air. Yes. Let me give you a break by pointing out the best wrestlers. I will start with this Polish biggest wrestling federation that you pointed out as the first that you know. So Prime Time Wrestling. Dear Nikolai, as you have said, we have an amazing woman talent over there, Diana Strong. In Poland we can see her only in Prime Time Wrestling. This is the part of the politics of Pan Pawłowski, the owner of PTW, that wrestlers can compete only when it comes to the Polish area, only in one federation, and that is PTW. How does it look like in Denmark? Are those federations cooperating a little bit, or is it a sudden death situation when one wrestler appears in other federation? This is it. It's over. Good night.
Oh, I might. No. They're actually good at going to different promotions. There's not something like you can, if you wrestle here, you cannot wrestle there. The wrestlers are good at talking with each other and helping each other get booked in the different promotions. But I'll say some of the promoters are good at working together, and some are not that good.
All right. It was a diplomatic answer.
Very diplomatic.
Dear Nikolai, I appreciate that. So Diana Strong, when it comes to primetime wrestling, women's division, hopefully it will grow. When it comes to men fighters over there, we have truly a lot of talent. First and foremost, I would like to point out Victor Longman. If you simply take a look at him on the photo, Victor Longman, he simply looks like he is WWE ready. Yes, he dedicated his life not only to wrestling but also to development of his body. He's a personal coach. Yes, he spends a lot of time, a lot of his life on the gym. Also as a part of his work, yes? So he's truly on a very high level when it comes to his muscularity, when it comes to his body, when it comes to his look. Yes, definitely. And moreover, dear Nikolai, he has great charisma. He has great personality. He is great on the mic. Yes, when it comes to his ability to learn wrestling skills, to control the crowd in the ring, to sell everything, he is truly unique. He is truly great. So I think it's just a matter of time and a matter of probably also dedication. This leap of faith, this giving everything to wrestling that we were talking about before we see Victor Longman in the big time. In WWE or AEW or something like that. I also have to point out Axel Fox.
Yeah, he's great.
Yes, the Polish Fox. You also
Yes.
know him, yes? You saw him.
Yes. Yeah, I was very, very impressed by his way he was I saw him at a match against a wrestler from Nordic Elite Wrestling called Eli Castle, and it was a perfect match. Speed, they were very good, very athletic. They had kept at a high pace match. I was nearly lost my breath watching that match. So very, very impressive wrestler.
Axel Fox, he's just an example of a huge story. The story about professional wrestling itself. A young boy sick, and it was a very, very big sickness of his heart. Yes?
Oh.
He somehow, dear Nikolai, overcame this sickness.
Whoa.
Started his wrestling trainings as a skinny, small gentleman. And then, dear Nikolai, he developed into a fantastic wrestler with great ring skills, with magnificent charisma, with truly fantastic set of skills that allow him to be one of the faces of primetime wrestling. Recently, there was a big PTW Gold Rush event in Częstochowa, one of the Polish cities, and Axel Fox was competing for the belt, the very first match for the PTW Championship. James Storm, you know him from TNA, he was a part of that match also. Axel Fox came in as the first one, and he was right there until the very last person. So 20 other fighters were confronted by him, and only David Pancher Senko was able to win and therefore become the first ever primetime wrestling champion. Pancher, this is the PTW champion right now. He has a background in boxing. He is truly talented, both on the mic and ring skills wise. Dear Nikolai, when it comes to PTW, there are truly so many talents.
Yeah.
I feel that whatever I will do, whatever I will say right now, I will miss someone.
Actually, I also missed one from Danish Pro Wrestling.
Yes, now it's your chance. Now it's your chance.
Robert Starr.
Oh.
He will crucify me if I don't mention him.
Definitely.
So, sorry, Robert.
Definitely, Robert Starr, a very big name, not only in
the
Polish,
Stallion.
not only in Danish, but also in European wrestling. He is the champion in Denmark, but also in the European heavyweight champion.
Exactly.
This is the title that is being defended all over Europe. So, dear Nikolai, when it comes to PTW, who else should I point out? Marco Hammers and the tag team that he is creating with Olgierd. It's called Legia, the Legion of the Bold, Wysych. They are convinced And
Yes.
you will be happy to hear that in order to truly fulfill yourself as a human being, as a man, you need to be bold, and therefore you are brave. If you do not have hair, that means you are a truly good, even great person. So congratulations, as
Okay.
far as I can see, Nikolai,
Yes. Oh.
for being accepted by the Marco Hammers and Olgierd tag team. There is also Spartan, a
Yes.
very impactful heavyweight right there at PTW. If you simply look at his picture, he looks like a very serious wrestler. And there is a fresh face in
Yes.
PTW that came there straight from WWE. Dabakato, that was his nickname in WWE. Right now he is known as Baba Thunder. He's a Polish guy that is from Polish Nigerian family. He stands over 2 meters tall, so he's a truly huge wrestler. And right now he's starting his story with Primetime Wrestling, so we will see where it will take us. So, dear Nikolai, right now let's focus on the best moments from Primetime Wrestling and from the oldest wrestling organization in Denmark, that is Dansk Pro Wrestling. What are the moments that were the most breathtaking, the most beautiful, simply overwhelming, and the most memorable at the same time?
Well, actually, for if you take Danish pro wrestling, they have many great moments. But recently, not I think half a year ago, they had their first show in Helsingør, where they did a battle royal, and I graced them with my present as I did my debut. No, sorry, joking. No, they have many great moments, and actually, the TV show called Blod, Springsker, the reality thing, was great. They're doing some great shows. They had a lot of great matches between also former, as you know, the Drew Galloway match as well. Amazing match. Also, they had Tatanga and Hacksaw Jim Duggan as well in Denmark. So they had a lot of former WWE stars. Also, at the show in Helsingør, it was not me, but it was actually, they had Tajiri and Gangrel as well there. Wow. So they have created a lot of interesting moment. But the one thing that's, for me, is the most interesting is the Danish talents, as I mentioned before, Ragnar, Christian Colombo, and also Robert Starr, who is a huge talent as well. I think the most interesting is also, for me, is watching the local talents. So they're really trying to create some new talents coming forward. So that's the essence of DPW. They started with wrestling to get it on a more serious level, and now they are developing into something new and creating a new line of talents. So,
all right, thanks a lot, dear Nikolai. Some amazing moments and simply some amazing things about the activity of Dansk Pro Wrestling. When it comes to the best moments of primetime wrestling, looking at their history, well, first and foremost, I would like to focus on simply great wrestling, great in-ring action that you can see there. So, Just Enjoy against Axel Fox. That's the match all of the wrestling fans shall see. Also, Axel Fox against Peter Tihany, a Hungarian wrestler that is truly making a statement on the European scene. He was, I think, the semi-final or even the final of last year's karat gold tournament in WXW. When it comes to the history of PTW, simply the moment when Puncher becomes the first heavyweight champion after the Gold Rush Rumble, where 20 men and 20 wrestlers are involved, because there is one woman involved in this Royal Rumble style match. So that is the moment that is definitely important for PTW. Also, the confrontation between Puncher and Baba Thunder, this Deba Kato, who went straight from WWE to Primetime Wrestling, a Polish wrestler who can truly dedicate himself to wrestling in Poland. Hopefully, we will see how it goes. What else shall I point out as the biggest moment in primetime wrestling history? For me, the whole Legends show in Warsaw was simply one great, magnificent event. The fact that we could witness wrestlers like Matt Sydal, Samurai Del Sol, WWE, AEW level, top level wrestlers. This is the great advantage of primetime wrestling, the fact that they truly have the sponsors, have the money to simply do a bigness and gather the wrestlers from those big federations. Well, there was also a truly memorable moment at the last PTW Gold Rush show, a moment when the owner of the federation Primetime Wrestling, he dedicated his life to his loved one, but unfortunately the moment was stopped by Victor Longman, one of the faces of PTW. Dear Nikolai, we have many voices on the chat.
Okay.
Truly a lot. But
fantastic.
But right now, could you focus on this storyline element? So
yes,
in Dance Pro Wrestling, when it comes to the most memorable, recognizable storylines, what would you distinguish as simply the ones that gather your thoughts the most?
Good question, actually. Well, I think I like to focus on the present. I think the storyline with the teacher and the student right now is interesting. With Chaos, I think DPW or Danish Pro Wrestling is more not that much based on storylines, but they have some few storylines, but the teacher student at the moment is their main storylines, and they do not have that much else. They do a lot of great matches. But former, it's like we have a lot of we had a tag team, a light heavyweight tag team way back when, which was one of my favorite tag team, called the Absolute Best. The Absolute Best tag team was with someone called Pete Phoenix and Lunico. They are amazing on the mic. And Pete Phoenix is actually the richest wrestler in Scandinavia. He's amazing on the mic as well as Lunico. That tag team coming together, being something and dominating DPW years ago is amazing storyline looking at that. And I think if we go and we should probably talk about some of the other promotions, so we just don't focus on DPW. So if we go to some of the other storylines that I think is interesting, you could take someone that's close to my heart, and I advocate for them coming back as a faction, is Copenhagen Finest. It was composed of Sime Asfak, Carlos Zamora and Pete Phoenix. And they had this crazy storyline with Pete Phoenix competing for against Simon Asfac because he backstabbed him, and they had to compete of Pete Phoenix being Simon Asfac's cleaning lady or something like that for a week or something like that. So they had this fight together, and then Pete Phoenix lost, and he had to come to Simon Asfac to clean his apartment and so on. So it was actually quite funny.
All right.
Very good storyline.
Yes,
actually.
dear Nikolai, we will go federation by federation. So every single wrestling federation will have its time, all right? Right now, when it comes to primetime wrestling and the best storylines from primetime wrestling, our fans are writing on the chat that the storyline between Axel Fox and Justin Joy. Unfortunately, Justin Joy is not a part of PTW anymore. Hopefully he will come back. That's definitely something that fans would want. But he was one of the very experienced wrestlers building PTW from very early moments. And one of the storylines was between himself as a coach, trainer, and Axel Fox as his student, as a person who looks up to him. First, they engaged in a truly great long feud, long storyline that has its culmination on Legends when they fought in a magnificent match, and after this match it was like a cathartic experience. It was like ancient Greece catharsis, and simply after the match they said to each other, "We are friends," and they hugged and they started a tag team together. This is something that our fans consider truly important when it comes to PTW history and PTW storylines. Another thing is, and it's also coming from our dear viewers on the chat, the storyline between Pan Pawłowski, the owner of the federation, and Bad Bones. You have probably heard of Bad Bones, wrestler from Germany, who also had the opportunity to fight for TNA and some other companies in United States of America. I would like to also point out the Legion of the Bold, this tag team, Legia Łysych, that I was talking about. They are simply trying to cut off the hair of different people. They even tried to cut off the hair of Karina, the girlfriend of one of the wrestlers from this tag team. So as you could see, it was a truly emotional and intense storyline. Thankfully, Karina didn't allow her hair to be simply taken out, but she resigned from their tag team, their stable, from being associated with them. We will see what the future holds for Karina. Dear Nikolai, OG Evil, very important wrestling fan from Poland, writes that the feud, the rivalry between Rafi Rarytas, another person that is not present in PTW anymore, and Victor Longman. This was another truly memorable feud. I remember the ending of that feud. A pile driver made by Longman to Rafi Rarytas. It sent Rarytas to the hospital, Nikolai.
Oh.
Whoa. So you can see how serious things might get in Polish wrestling. All right, Nikolai, shall we move on to the very next federation in Denmark?
Yeah, let's do that. I think the next federation in Denmark is Body Slam. I would like to mention those because they have this unique wrestler. There's a lot of interesting storylines, but there's two storylines, and it's one storyline is simply still ongoing. It still develops with new layers. It's between one of the great wrestlers in Denmark called Michael Finn and Tank, and they have feuded with different twists and turns, and they have been together as tag team champions. They started as bitter enemies fighting for the heavyweight championship, Body Slam's heavyweight championship. Then they came together because of a common enemy called the Swedish Elite. Then they split up, and now they are back together, maybe as a tag team, but it's still an ongoing story. So who knows? They have hired this wrestling psychologist called Torben Liflich, who is trying to be a wrestling coach, learning them more in-ring ability and how to work together to be better as a tag team. That's one very interesting storyline. The other one is with someone called Peter Olisander, who has been has this book, the Book of Truth. It's called in Danish called Sandheden.
Oh.
And he's like this cult-like personality who has these followers, and the first storyline that was interesting there is he and someone called Emeritus was fighting, and Emeritus was very submissive in the start, being help Peter Olisander retain championship after championship, and then suddenly he got enough and broke free of him, and they had a death match actually, where they broke with glass and so on. And then Olisander went AWOL, people didn't know why, and then suddenly at one show you could hear his voice coming back in the speaker and said, "I'm back." And then he returned, and now he has this new book with him called Rebirth. So he's on another new path, creating a new faction within Body Slam.
Would you say that Body Slam is, you told about the death match, so would you say that Body Slam is the most hardcore federation in DK?
And you can't distinguish saying one federation is more hardcore than the other. They all do these crazy things with burning tables, barbed wire matches, glass. Yeah. So there's not a promotion that, because just last night I saw one promotion with real, and I can tell you, it was real barbed wire attached to a wooden plate, and someone got hit with it. So his back was just very bloody. But if we get back to Body Slam,
you have a good healthcare in Denmark.
Yeah, we have a great healthcare. So we took some vodka, and then his wounds were healed. So I think he's good. But if we go back to Body Slam, that's the two main storylines that I think is very interesting, and it both still ongoing. So that's the beauty. Body Slam is very good at storytelling, and DPW as well. They're not focusing more on great matches, creating great moments instead of storylines. But those two storylines is you should follow those, because rumor has it our account at the Wrestler and the Nerds was hijacked, and we had to post a very strange film from maybe some connections to the rebirth with Peter Olisander. We do not know. So, yeah. So, what other? Can you tell me which storyline is the most interesting in PPW then?
Well, maybe I would prefer to start with KPW. All right.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Go ahead, please.
When it comes to Combat Pro Wrestling, this North-based organization, our viewers already wrote some of the best wrestlers that they recommend for all of Europe, and especially you, dear Nikolai, to watch. Zephyr, the only Polish luchador in
Oh.
KPW. So he wrestlers like I am right now under a mask. He wrestlers like a Mexican luchador. His fighting style also it's high flying style, lucha libre based, but he's a good technical wrestler
Oh.
also. So he's a full package when it comes to in-ring skills. I would have to point out David Oliva, very experienced wrestler. You know Doug Williams, right? You had the opportunity to
Yes,
talk with
exactly.
him. David Oliva knows him from the ring because he had the opportunity to wrestle against him. You mentioned Tatanka as one of the great moments from DPW, his presence there. David Oliva fought against Tatanka. His great, rich career with more than 100 matches makes him simply one of the best, most experienced wrestlers in combat pro wrestling. David Oliva, that's the name. I would also have to point out those Fuchs brothers that I've mentioned. Yes, the tag team.
Yeah, the bald ones.
Yes, the tag team champions, and one truly young and promising gentleman. He might be also among those who make it to WWE AEW. Leon Lato. In English, it means Leon the Summer.
Oh.
And if you look at him, simply by looking at him, you think about the summer and all of those
Oh,
nice
interesting.
moments connected with the summertime.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, so that would be my take on best wrestlers from KPW. When it comes to best moments, best storylines, well, the whole federation has a very unique climate. It's a little bit old school wrestling. It is definitely the spirit of Don Royd. This one of the first wrestlers that came to Poland that I talked to you about earlier on. It is a wrestling of heavyweights with big boots, with classic wrestling gear. There are not so many hardcore matches. There are none of death matches, nothing like that. Well, Jim Cornette would be very proud, definitely, by the product proposed by KPW. This is old school kind of wrestling, which makes Polish wrestling truly diverse, yes? PTW,
Yes.
this is like a contemporary WWE approach. KPW is more like old school minded, Jim Cornette minded, and PPW, which we'll get to talk about, is the wildness and the hardcoreness of ECW and those rather intense federations. When it comes to best moment storylines that are happening in KPW, well, teacher students, as you said, this is what is great in wrestling. So David Oliva as a teacher for Leon Lato, he has recently had a tremendous match against this young wrestler. They both took each other to the limit. So the whole heel turn of David Oliva, from a wrestler who was handing out lollipops, dear David. He was handing out the lollipops, especially the ladies were truly doing their best in order to receive one. But right now, from a wrestler that hands out lollipops, he's the new bad, evil version of David Oliva. So there is a heel turn going on right now, and it is exciting. OG Evil reminds us on some more historic times from KPW as best moments, best storylines. Alisa's promo on being Mira's sister. As you can see, we have some women in the history of Polish wrestling. Mira, she's recently, right now, nowadays, she's simply also creating the history of Polish wrestling. She's responsible for the creation of costumes. Some of them are truly unique and magnificent. So, greetings to Mira. Maybe we will see her in the ring. Mentat wrote that Fuchs brothers' victory over the Ordnung. The pop, it was absolutely wild.
Wow.
So this is the recommendation from Mentat. Dear Nikolai, when it comes to body slam wrestling, any more
Yes.
moments, storylines, wrestlers that you would like to point out from this federation that are especially great?
Yeah, I could probably mention each and every one because, as me, I think every wrestler at every promotion is doing a fantastic job giving the audience an amazing time when they are in the ring. We have this strange or amazing tag team called Easy Lovers. People should go and check those three guys out. They are the Denim Boys. They're wrestling in denim shorts or denim trousers, and they have this very unique expression. And people should really try and check those out. And then probably we have one of the best tag team, maybe I would say not in Europe, but in Scandinavia. We have Ranas Penje, who is like this party tag team with doing this with booze coming out and champagne. Yeah. And it's a party every time they are coming. And one match with those two guys against another great European tag team called Sunshine Machine. Those two against each other at Body Slam. It wasn't the main event, but that match stole the show. It's an amazing match.
All right, you're definitely giving us a lot of reasons to watch Body Slam Wrestling Federation.
Yeah.
Dear Nikolai, are those things from Danish wrestling mostly available on YouTube or free access?
I could send you some links afterwards to all the promotions so people.
Yes, we will put them in the description.
And you have to give me the links as well, so I can do a post or something like that, so people so people will have more knowledge about the great wrestling in Poland as well.
Definitely, we will do that. Dear Nikolai, I have 3 federations to talk about. We are more or less done with the 2 of them. So there is this one more PPW on my side. So maybe you, as the person who has 4 federations to talk about, yes, maybe you shall start with the very next one.
Yeah, I think I would take the youngest promotion that's pure, just a Danish promotion called Nordic Elite Wrestling. Mm-hmm. A new breakout promotion from Copenhagen Championship Wrestling that does not exist anymore. They started with they have every show from they started has been sold out. They have so many interesting wrestlers there, as the one I mentioned before, Carlos Zamora. They have Emilian Lewis, great talent. They have this very unique and very exciting tag team called Bloodbound. And I will come back to a storyline connected to that tag team. Amazing. It's Gabriel Faust and Lunico. And then we have Saim Asfaq, who is the Pakistani powerhouse, fantastic wrestlers, lots of power moves. We have Benny Bacchus, party wrestler from Party City, Panama, or maybe just Copenhagen, who knows. And then, of course, the richest wrestler in Scandinavia, Pete Phoenix.
The richest?
Yeah. Ooh. He says that. And it's so strange because every time when he enters the ring, there's these two strange guys in suits that throwing money around over him.
Real money?
Yeah. people have not. They are so hard to get. So I think he may be collecting them himself. I think maybe they are paid by Pete Phoenix. Who knows?
Ooh.
Yeah. And then, of course, one thing that one is very important to mention as well. It's Madison Morgan, an out of the world great female wrestler, only 16 years old, just wrestled Diana Strong last night. Great match. Probably it will be available sometimes in the future.
Who won?
People should. Madison Morgan.
Damn it!
Yes, she did. Yes,
Damn
I know. But hopefully they will do a trio. So hopefully they will do 3 matches because they had really great chemistry. They worked really well together. So, and probably maybe the next one should be in Poland. So
definitely PTW,
yeah, maybe.
Bright Lights, big time wrestling. Definitely.
Yeah, they should actually consider Madison Morgan. She is amazing.
I think your interview with Madison, it has more than 6,000 views. Am I right?
Yeah, it's in the very, very early stages, actually before she had a real match. So
all right. So, but still, it says a lot about the European wrestler being able to have more than 6,000 views on the interview. This is a lot for European wrestling. Another reason to simply hire Madison by PTW. She's recognizable, also thanks to you, dear Nikolai.
And we have Eli Castle, so I probably have more or less mentioned everyone on the roster. But as people should probably know, people will know, I just love every wrestler on the Danish scene. So,
but are you honest?
Yes, I am, because they represent so different styles of wrestling.
And simply every wrestler loves wrestling. So
this
is why we shall also love all of the
wrestlers. But we could sit here and we are trying to do a short version, and we sit here nearly for 1.5 hours, and I have this feeling inside that we just started talking about wrestling.
Yes, this is
but
the
you had said to me
conversation.
Yes, but you said to me we only got 2 hours, so I'll try to keep it short.
Yes.
So I think more or less I went through everyone at that promotion, and of course also Carlos Zamora, who is the biggest star in that promotion. He's a fantastic wrestler. So.
All right. So right now I will be talking about PPW, Wrestling Federation based in Poland, which has become... It has grew to be a cultural phenomenon. Truly, what is going on in Warsaw with wrestling, it is surprising. People that are not the fans of wrestling are coming to the shows, are having fun, are excited. This is our dream coming true, to get people excited that are not the fans of wrestling. So I have many voices on the chat telling me what are the best moments, storylines from PPW, but I will start off with distinguishing some great wrestlers that made PPW this cultural phenomenon. So Johnny Blade, yes, a young wrestler, I would call him an artist. He has also his music projects, but his main passion, his life, as he said on our podcast, is wrestling. He's engaged in a deathmatch style wrestling, yes, so as you said, thumbtacks, glass, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, a lot of blood. But this is apparently what PPW is founded on. Yes, it is founded on Johnny Blade's blood. It was a bit, let's say, risky for a bit more experienced wrestling enthusiasts from Poland to witness the growth of PPW, especially because they started as backyard wrestling organization, and they were doing such a risky maneuvers. They were doing backyard deathmatch. wrestling. So,
Whoa.
as you might imagine, it comes with a risk. Thankfully, those people were able to pursue with that in an efficient way. And
Okay.
they simply developed into a phenomenon, into a cult, into a following, into right now a professional wrestling organization that has seminars not only with the best Polish wrestlers, for example, Jacob Crane from WXW, now from Japan, he was one of their most important coaches, but also Justin Joy, but also wherever wrestler comes from, wherever, all over Europe, he or she makes a seminar right there for PPW wrestlers. So they are truly diversely trained nowadays. And nowadays it's not just about deathmatch hardcore wrestling style. So Johnny Blade, definitely one of the faces, one of the icons of this wrestling federation. Same as Mr. Z. Another wonderful wrestler, and he truly shows the path of PPW, because he's a wrestler that loves wrestling, that can do the deathmatch hardcore style, but he can do also a beautiful, magnificent, pure singles match, yes, with making nice suplexes, wonderful maneuvers. He's a truly great wrestler that lives a lot in the ring. You can check his match with Ricardo Diesel at PPW Miasto Bez Prawa. It was more of a hardcore match. There was a lot of fire, for example, in that match. Also a lot of blood. Well, you shall probably see it. I don't want to ruin it with words.
Okay.
Biesiad, that is the name of PPW champion. Unfortunately, not a contemporary champion, but the historic champion. That truly, under his reign, the federation went to the next level. Yes, right now there are hundreds of people at every show, and tickets are disappearing just like that. 1 hour, and 200 of tickets are gone. Second hour, another 200 tickets. So truly big audience wants to watch PPW. Another person that had the opportunity to wrestle in Scandinavia, Goblin. Have you heard of this wrestler? Because he's making his
No.
name known all over Europe. Goblin, he is a unique personality. He has so much charisma. He develops his body. That is very important for us in Poland, to put a lot into the development of the body of a wrestler. Also, in order to do it safely, we need to have muscles. You need to be prepared to do the sport in an appropriate way. And very experienced wrestler that also trained a lot with PPW guys and helped putting them on the next level, Stanisław Van Dobroniak.
Yes, I know him, Stanislav. Yeah.
You've heard about him.
Yeah.
Wonderful,
Yes.
wonderful. Because this wrestler, he made his name mostly on the Scandinavian scene, mostly in Sweden, but he was so important for the development of Polish wrestling scene. He fought in Maniac Zone Wrestling. This federation unfortunately doesn't exist right now. I think he fought for KPW, PPW. I'm afraid that the only federation that he didn't fight for is Primetime Wrestling, but who knows, it might change in the future. Dear Nikolai, would you like to add something on your part before I go into the best moments and storylines from PPW?
No, let's just bring it on, and I'll just have the last promotion after that.
All right.
So please indulge me.
We are running out of time, only 25 minutes
Yeah.
left. So, my dear viewers, whatever questions, whatever voices you have, please let us know. Thanks for a lot of voices about the best moment storylines from PPW. So people are writing the feud, the rivalry between Gustav Griffin and Goblin. This is it was a great moment, their match that they had, a strong style, hard-hitting match, and this match was a part of a wonderful storyline. Dear Nikolai, as you can see, I have a suit, I have a tie, I look like
Yes.
a disciplined person. That's because I'm one of the Gustav Griffin's guys, one of the
Oh.
so-called Griffinators. Griffinators are people who work at Mordor, the economic, financial center of Poland, center of Warsaw. This is where the big money goes. This is where big money, big business happens. People despise it. I am not aware why. I do not understand it. People despise big business, but hey, what would wrestling be without money? That's what we are asking. But Goblin and his following, they are artists. They do not care. They are above making money. They have their artistic lifestyle that is about, I don't know, creating emotional moments, or I don't understand it, so I cannot truly explain it to you. As you can see, dear Nikolai, everyone needs to choose a side in this conflict.
Yes.
So you, as a person who works in the risk assessment industry, I would say you are more of a Griffinator than...
Yeah, it sounds like that. I'll be on that team. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yes, you can call me a Griffinator from now on.
Thank you. That's why I invited you. I had the feeling that we will be on the same page.
You're absolutely right.
Great. So, as you can see, those storylines, those rivalries that make people, hey, on which side am I? Yes, that are somehow connected with the contemporary culture, contemporary state of affairs. This is truly interesting. When it comes to the best moments, the best storylines from PPW, there are so many things, so many voices on the chat. What should I point out? OG Evil writes about Mr. Z's betrayal of PPW. He started to simply be a very big main heel and a main producer of PPW from being the main face. So the switches like that are very, very impactful for the fans to witness. There is also Mentat. He wrote about the moment from PPW history when Johnny Blade, wrapped in a barbed wire, jumped off the third rope onto Lexi Lux, a deathmatch women's wrestler who came to us, I think especially from United States of America, to do a death match with Johnny Blade. And the finish of that match was Johnny wrapped in the barbed wire, bleeding all over the place, jumping on Lexi Lux from the top rope. And this is what our dear Mentat remembers. Thanks a lot for that. There are so many things that we could talk about from PPW, but because of the lack of time, dear Nikolai, I will not be able... Yes, I will not be able to mention all of them. So right now, you have, dear Nikolai, the floor. Yes.
Quick through the last promotion so we can answer a lot of fantastic questions. So just before I go through the last promotion, this is... Please, everyone sitting out there listening, drop your questions now, and I'll try to answer them together with my co-host of the evening. Give you a lot of insight into our minds, our love for wrestling. But
yes, any questions
yes,
regarding
drop them now
anything in
because
wrestling to me or to Nikolaj, write those questions right now. Też powiem po polsku, zadawajcie pytania Nikolajowi, mi, wszystko przetłumaczymy na język angielski. Sorry Nikolaj, it was short.
yeah.
In
No,
Polish,
no
yes.
problem. Yeah, no problem. But the last one is Copenhagen Championship Wrestling, and also now merged into Valor, who is a cross-European promotion and also has some lucha libre. They had, as I mentioned before, the Copenhagen Finest storyline is one of my favorite one, as I mentioned. And now there are actually only two wrestlers left in that promotion called Sebastian Day and Copenhagen Hangman. And they're having their first new show under the umbrella Valor in, I think it's the 2nd of April or something like that. So it's hard to say something about storylines because they have not created anyone yet. So it's important to mention them. They're coming now. They're having their first show here in start April. And that's all I can tell actually for now. So,
all right.
So let's go to the questions. I was quick and short.
Thanks a lot, dear Nikolaj. As we can see, there are a lot of exciting things going on in Danish wrestling.
Exactly.
You have definitely convinced us to simply go to the Danish show and see one. But if you'd have to point out for us, and well, people in Poland are available for holidays for visiting Denmark, well, mostly throughout the summertime, but still, this is a flight to Denmark takes 1 hour and a half, so we can also visit during the weekend. Dear Nikolaj, what wrestling show shall a Polish fan, and I'm serious about that, I would truly like to witness one Danish show live throughout probably this summertime, this summer holiday time. What would be your recommendation? You know that we all have limited time, we all have limited possibilities. Where should I go? What is your recommendation to see the best of Danish wrestling?
Well, if you have to get the best of Danish wrestling, you have to watch one from each promotion. So you have to start one day to go to Jutland, where DPW is doing some shows during the summer. They don't have these normal shows during the summer times. They had these, like, you know, when you watch WWE, called house shows around in Denmark. You have to start there, and when you watch that show, probably start the car up, driving towards Copenhagen, and maybe if Body Slam is doing some show in Fyn, as you know, Svendborg, where Svendborg is, you just take that one and take the stop there, and finish in Copenhagen watching Nordic Elite Wrestling. So,
wonderful.
Yes, because all promotions are doing a great job. And if Valor has a show as well, go and watch them, because if you have to get an insight into Danish wrestling, you have to watch each show, because they're representing something different, everyone. So
wonderful. So, dear Nikolaj, then you shall swim on a ferry or on a wonderful ship to Gdynia, to Gdańsk, and start your journey at the KPW show right next to the Baltic Sea. Then you shall hop into the train. Great connection between Gdynia and Warsaw, very modern Pendolino train. In less than, I think, about 2 hours, a bit more, you are in Warsaw, in the center of Poland, where you can see PPW show. And then on your way to, for example, the historic city of Krakow, or to Wrocław or somewhere else in Poland, you shall see on the south of Poland the Primetime Wrestling brand. They are doing their
Yes.
shows mostly on the south of Poland, but we have questions coming
Yes,
to you
please.
from the chat. Please, dear chat, right now this is your moment to ask questions. Mentat asks, will we see more Danish wrestlers appearing in Poland? So, from your perspective, what wrestlers have the biggest chance to be exposed in Polish wrestling federations?
I think we should, if we're going on the male side first, we should, there's 3 names that's very clear that you should book. It's Carlos Zamora, one of the great talents and great wrestlers in Denmark. There's Nitro Green, who is also a very great, interesting wrestler. A lot of speed, has some amazing moves. And then there's the aspiring talent called Emilian Lewis. He's really one to watch in the coming years. So those 3, if any bookers are listening, watching, hearing this, those 3 wrestlers, it's a no-brainer, you could call it. You should book those 3 because they could deliver anytime. And on the female side, it's obvious, Madison Morgan. So, yeah.
I'm so excited about Madison Morgan. Definitely, you hyped her so greatly right here on this podcast. So we will do something to get her right here to fight against Diana Strong.
So Diana could be on her home ground this time.
And what do you think about the level of Polish wrestling, Polish wrestlers competing in Denmark? As far as I can hear, you are truly excited about them.
Yes,
you truly
exactly.
appreciate them.
Really, really appreciate them. And huge shout out for me to Pure Gold, their amazing tag team. I watched them twice now. They have really something unique representing in the tag team division. I love a tag team that stands out from the crowd. Axel Fox, his amazing abilities in the ring. He's not. You love those big words in wrestling, but I think he's a generational talent. He's really
Hell yeah.
Yes, and of course Stanislav and the Stallion Robert Starr.
Hell yeah.
Even though he's actually a Polish guy living in Denmark, he's still one of yours, I think you should probably say. So, yeah, Robert Starr, Stanislav, living in Sweden now, and then, of course, Axel Fox. So, yeah.
Dear Nikolai, I think any wrestler from Poland that is competing on the main card of any wrestling federation in Poland would do a magnificent job in Europe, in Denmark. When our wrestlers are traveling, they gather, just like you are doing right now, fantastic reviews. So I definitely recommend Goblin. I definitely recommend simply every Polish wrestler that is able to be on the main card of Polish wrestling organization. We have so many people training in the wrestling schools that are never able to simply go to the ring and perform in front of the audience. In Poland, truly, the trainers that are taking their time. They are truly making efforts to prepare a person before he or she is ready to actually step into the ring. So my recommendation is any wrestler that simply is present in the Polish wrestling scene. Dear Nikolai, there is a question for you from Enrico Design. Could we have a European champ, like international bracket with a final winner, maybe international? style. What are your thoughts on that, dear Nikolai?
I think actually it could be very interesting because I think every promotion around Europe should actually open their eyes more to exchange wrestlers, to give wrestlers around Europe the possibility to do matches together against each other, because so they could develop and learn to wrestle different types of wrestlers.
Definitely, and this is also one of the aims of our projects. Project
Exactly.
to create bridges between wrestling in Poland, in Denmark, between fans, between federations, between people in general, in Polish and
Hopefully.
in Danish wrestling. Nicholas Sullivan is writing, Nikolai, thank you for going above and beyond to put people over. Yes, wrestling is about putting people
Yeah.
over.
And shout out Nick Sullivan, actually, if some of the promotions are watching there as well. It's a great friend of mine from the USA. He's a very Greek Roman style of wrestler. He's huge. His amazing in-ring abilities. He's actually one of the first one I did an interview with, and I still keep in touch with him. He's one to watch. So if there's any promoters in Poland that wants to book one, he's actually coming to Europe I think in the autumn time, and so if they are having some shows there, we could probably talk. You should actually consider booking him because he's a fantastic wrestler.
Wonderful, dear Nikolai. Our final 10 minutes.
Oh, no.
We planned this to be 90 minutes, and we said to each other 120 minutes at the very top.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely, dear Nikolai. I would like to ask you some of the questions that are important for myself. There are also still some voices on the chat. Dear Nikolai, what do you think shall be the future for Danish wrestling? I think it is more or less the same for Polish wrestling. What are your dreams? What are your hopes? How shall Danish wrestling develop?
My hopes and dreams are probably two different things, but my dream is that we could one time in the future see a show where all the promotions work together to make one super show where they put every great Danish talent to create dream matches, one could probably say. Like we have the AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling Forbidden Door. And the future is more objectivity way is very bright, and pro wrestling in Denmark is flourishing at the moment because we have so much great talent.
Mm-hmm. All right, I have.
So what about in Poland?
I have a very similar feeling when it comes to Poland. We are flying right now. Yes, we have 3 federations that are strong, that are doing their wonderful, magnificent shows. Wrestlers are truly highly trained. The things that we are missing are money, investors, and we were talking before the show so much about finding grants, finding funds, finding scholarships within Ministry of Culture, Ministry of Sports, within different sort of programs that are accessible for wrestling federations. I know that also you are a big help for Danish wrestling when it comes to writing those kinds of projects, those kinds of grants. So for me, finding funding, whether through this special program or whether simply through a business partner. Yes, like Kingwin. It was a magnificent business partner for primetime wrestling. And the second hope and the dream that I have is that people will be a bit, well, that the language, the communication between federations, between people will be a bit more professional, a bit less intense. let's remember that although this is wrestling, we are talking about the lives of people and the future of different human beings. So I would be more sensitive when it comes to communication. I don't know if it's clear or not. But dear Nikolai, what do you think could be there in the future waiting for Polish and Danish wrestling? I would definitely like to see our federations cooperating a little bit more. We have so many wrestlers right there in Denmark coming from Poland. Maybe there will be an invasion angle coming soon.
Yes. Yeah, that could actually work, but also maybe a forbidden door. I love that expression, even though it's a little bit worn out, but still maybe prime time and body slam or Nordic elite wrestling or something like that, doing a co-event,
That
working
would be
together
wonderful.
to do an event here in Denmark and one in Poland. So a lot of the great Polish talents that could come to Denmark to wrestle, and a lot of the great Danish talent could come to Poland and wrestle as well.
That would be wonderful. Remember that in Poland we are talking about a little bit less than 40 million people, 40 million potential viewers, a little less of course, that are currently living in Poland. So this is a big potential fan base you can simply think about. Dear Nikolai, it was such a great pleasure to talk with you for those 2 hours. I would like to thank all of the voices from the chat. I know that I wasn't able to read out all of your magnificent words, but the chat will be accessible even a bit later on. So, dear Nikolai, thanks a lot. We will definitely keep in touch.
We will, for sure.
Please greet the whole Danish wrestling scene from Polish wrestling scene. We hope to cooperate a lot. Have a good day. Have a good night. Best wishes.
Thank you.